Hey everyone, welcome to the Milwaukee Music Lessons podcast. My name is Alex Bennett.
And I'm Robin Bennett.
And we're going to have a little bit of kind of like a two-parter episode. I don't mean that we're going to do two episodes back to back, but this episode is going to be kind of split into two pieces. For the first half, we're going to talk about an issue I think that kind of bugs us a little bit. I think it bugs Robin a little bit because I just mentioned the idea of it and she was like, "Oh, don't get me started." So I knew that meant we had a good subject for a podcast episode. But then we're going to have a little bit of fun at the end and do a little bit of we'll just say music trivia with in regards to like, I don't know, fun jingles and things like that. I'm going to see how much Robin knows or remembers from jingles past and present here. So I think it'll be a fun one today.
Yeah, if I can remember stuff from before I was born, I'm really killing it.
Yeah, it shouldn't be quite that far. It should be like mid-90s is probably going to be the oldest. So
okay.
we'll be right in that ballpark. So anyways, so kind of for our kind of first half subject here, you and I were talking a little bit earlier today about rhythm and teaching rhythm and some of the challenges that go with that. Why is teaching rhythm sometimes more challenging than teaching, pitch or melody or chords or things like that? What do you think?
I think a lot of people haven't spent a lot of time figuring out if they can keep a steady beat.
Mm-hmm.
And knowing how to keep a steady beat or even what a steady beat is the building block for everything else. It's so essential to know, okay, so a steady beat, right? One beat at a time, over and over, equidistant from each other in time, and a steady beat can be fast as long as it's steady. There's the same amount of time between each one. Like, that's still a steady beat. It's just faster versus a slow, steady beat. So I think tempo is a big thing as well, because once you start getting faster, the rhythm is so much harder to do. And then just the math of it, it's very fractional, and a lot of kids have a hard time with fractions. So you either have to describe it to them as a fraction, or you have to describe it to them as, okay, now we're playing two beats, two sounds on a beat. So I think my first reason why it's hard is because people don't understand steady beat or they can't keep a steady beat. And then I think my second one would be just how rhythm is taught to younger kids. Like, most schools have a music program, and you're starting to teach kids to clap and play basic rhythms by like kindergarten, first grade. When I was teaching, I had kindergartners able to do quarter notes, quarter rest, eighth notes, pretty simple rhythms, but they could count those, right? But the way that you are taught to teach rhythms is either a sound bite, like ta, 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 ta-dee, ta-dee, ta. So each rhythm has its own, I don't know what you would call it.
Syllable.
Yeah, syllable thing. And that makes it easy for the kids to be like, okay, the D is the offbeat, right? It's the and, or like taka, D, mi. So you have the 4 bits of the 16th note, and ta and D are still there. So you can say, okay, ta is right there on the beat. The D is right there on the half beat. So the ka and the mi are in between those. So it makes it somewhat simple for them to go there. But I think it's the transferring from the syllables to the counting. Like 1, 2, 3, 4, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1E and a 2E and a 3 and 4. Making that transition is so difficult for a lot of kids.
I never learned the syllables system. I went right to 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a. So that
How old were you though when you started doing that?
College.
Okay. I think the older you are, the more you understand subdivisions.
I guess
that makes it a lot simpler.
So here's
why do you think? Because you have a different perspective than me. Because I was taught how to teach children.
Yeah.
So it's a lot different than you're more the adult realm.
I think that many people learn music with their eyes.
Sure.
And I think when it comes to teaching somebody a melody or a chord, it's very easy to say, put your hand here. Put your fingers here.
It's tactile.
It's tactile. It's visual too. The hard part, I think, is teaching kids and or adults how to switch to listening to a song to identify the mistake that you've made versus seeing where a mistake happens, right? I've watched plenty of adults and kids alike play through an entire song where their hand is 1 fret off. And it sounds absolutely horrendous from beginning to end.
Yeah.
But they never realize it because all they think about when they're playing the instrument is the visual aspect. And rhythm, if you're trying to learn rhythm or improve your rhythm, there is no visual that helps you while you're staring at your instruments. There is one point in time that the rhythm works, and there are 100 others that don't work.
I think because one of my very early instruments was percussion, I think that's a really good reason why I have strong rhythm. I'm not going to say I'm perfect at rhythm, but I'm pretty good at it. And I don't know, it felt pretty visual to me because, you could do like right, left, right. I don't know. I have a weird relationship with rhythm.
Well, again, you and I both grew up in very musical environments.
Yeah.
And musical churches and those...
And music families,
created and fostered an environment where we were exposed to a lot.
Yeah.
And there is, I think, if you asked most professionals, they would all agree that the older you are, the harder it is to learn the auditory only things.
Sure.
We've looked into like how do you get perfect pitch? And you have all these different, phenotes, these different ways that your brain hears sound. And when you're an itty bitty baby, you're open to all of those things.
Right, yeah.
And then as time goes on, your brain is trying to figure out which of these sources
things to latch onto and what to let go of.
And so, there's always like 2,000 some faucets of different ways for your brain to interpret these sounds. And as time goes on, your brain, when it turns off those faucets, it's very difficult, almost impossible to actually reopen those things.
That's why it's so easy to teach kids multiple languages when they're young.
Exactly. Well, and they can not only can they learn the multiple languages, but they can understand the nuances of the
sounds.
Yeah. What's the word I'm looking for? How do you say it? Like if I was to describe like a New Yorker, an accent.
An accent. Yeah.
I almost said the word in trying to describe the word.
Yeah, I think it's the accent of it. It's even like the mouth shape. That's such a big thing when you're learning another language or even trying to just say some words in that other language that you have to really commit to the accent to make it sound right.
Mm-hmm.
Like singing a song in French, you gotta go for it, because if you just kind of like be like, meh, I'll just say some French stuff, and then it does not sound as good as if you
You just often say some French stuff.
Well,
Chakra bleu.
Right, exactly. But if you really commit to the French accent, it sounds so much better. So I mean, you're right. There's an accent to certain languages that you can really tell.
Yeah. So anyways, that's just, for me, I think rhythm is very often, I find that people who are generally not good at rhythm are people who are generally not good at just listening. And so we've spent a lot of time. I actually had this exact example come up a little while ago. One of my students on drums, he was having a really hard time. We were doing a song where there's about 6 different patterns.
Okay.
And you have to be able to switch between these patterns quickly. And he's relatively new, so just to be able to play a pattern good was already a challenge.
Right,
but now
yeah.
to be able to switch between not 2, but like 6 different patterns within a song was difficult for him. And what we did for a while, he was really having a hard time being able to look ahead and anticipate where things were going to happen and why they were going to happen. And so we just spent a bunch of time sitting down and listening to the pattern over and over and over again.
Mm-hmm.
And after a while, I just simply asked him, now, can you hear the pattern in your head before you do it? And he said, yeah. I said, can you correlate what drum is being hit, and not just think of what's being hit, but what you look like, what your body looks like,
right, where your limb's going,
independent limb is going to be doing, and how it's going to be doing it. And we listened to it a couple more times, and he said, okay, I think I can visualize it. And I said, okay, now play for me this line. And before he had been playing it at half the pace, and then every time he would change beats, he'd falter, and he'd have a hard time getting back into it. Whereas now, he could hear it in his head, what it was going to sound like, and he was able to anticipate where he was able to go.
Yeah.
And then suddenly he was able to transition effectively. So it was like we made more progress just listening and not playing the instruments than we did sitting down trying to just hammer home the actions over and over and over again.
You'll have to tell me if you think this is related, but to me, I feel like it's related. I had a marching band instructor I don't remember if my last year or whatever, in high school, but he made us sing our parts on our instrument.
Yeah.
Well, like, you're not playing your instrument, you're going to sing your part. And if we could sing it, then we knew what was happening. And so when we were learning drill, going from one spot to the next spot on the field, if you don't know how marching band works, we were learning the drill, and he would have us sing it a bunch of times so that we could properly line up in our brains, okay, when I am on this spot, I am playing this part. So we would sing it, and you would have to be at a certain part in the music by the time you got to the next spot. And so he would have us sing it in between there so we could make the mental correlation between where you are on the field and what you're playing. And then when we started playing it with our instruments, it was a lot better than if it was just like, okay, you know that we have to go from here to there, now play your instrument with it. And a lot of people would just, it's a hard thing to coordinate, is the movement and the playing.
But you had checkpoints.
Correct, basically.
Yeah, you had moments, you had goals, and I get that. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, so we would learn, okay, so we're going from here to there, we're playing these 5 measures. What does it sound like when I'm standing here and I'm going over there? So then it was a way for us to visualize or think about what it's going to sound like, what we're supposed to be doing, while we're in that transition from checkpoint to checkpoint.
Definitely. You're trying to anticipate
Right. Yeah.
what's
yeah.
happening instead
Yeah. Exactly.
of suddenly going, oh shoot, I'm supposed to be over here.
Mm-hmm.
So
Okay. Are we done talking about rhythm?
I think so.
Okay.
So
we could probably go on for a long time.
Yeah. Rhythm's a complicated subject.
It is.
Yeah, there's a lot of nuances to it, and it gets even more complicated when you access the other. I'll say one last point here.
Sure.
I've had this theory for a long time that you could essentially break down music into three parts. You could break it down into harmony. You could break it down into, which by the way, harmony includes melody and chords.
Right.
You could break it down into rhythm, and then you could break it down into dynamics and intensity. And I think that every instrument is kind of primarily good at one of those three things, and that has a tendency to be what they most often focus on. And then there's usually the other two have a tendency to kind of get either lost or left in the dust or neglected more. So, if you're a drummer, you're going to spend most of your time focusing on rhythm. You don't really think a whole lot about melody or intensity.
Or harmony, how the things work together. Okay.
Versus if you're a guitar player, you have a tendency to focus on how many chords do I know, how many scales do I know, what different patterns
focus
can I do.
on the harmony of it.
Correct.
Do you think?
Yeah, and then that has a tendency to leave rhythm to get neglected.
That's interesting because in jazz, guitar is a rhythm instrument.
Well, sure, but I
guess a lot of in general guitars are.
It's not a
we're
huge
playing the chords.
Forefront instrument. Yeah, but you have to know your chords and you have to know your scales, and people look at that as one of the more complicated portions.
Yeah.
Because I think when you think of a guitar, you don't think of listen to that guitar play that crazy rhythm.
I mean, I've listened to a lot of different music. I think about that a lot more than
You're also a percussionist.
Do. I know.
So you come at it from a different angle.
I do. I know. And that's the hard part is like separating yourself from that because I have that in my background. That's one of the things that I find interesting. I think that's why I like YYZ by Rush so much is because it's a cool rhythm, or that's why I like certain things is because it's not just blah.
And there's
rhythmically.
There's definitely a reason why when I started to understand those two other things, that's when I got into the crazy weird prog stuff with the odd time signatures and things like that. Mm-hmm. It was like the wool had been pulled off from over my eyes, and I could suddenly see the whole picture, which was not true at all. I'm still seeing more of the picture all the time.
Yeah, definitely.
All right. Here we go.
All right, I'm ready.
All right, so I'm going to try and start off with some hopefully easier ones.
Okay. So we're talking like commercials, like certain companies have like a jingle or whatever.
Sure, it can be quite a number of things.
Okay, I'm going to try not to look at your iPad.
Don't worry, I got you covered here.
Okay.
You shouldn't have to worry about it.
Okay.
So.
Well, that's like at the beginning of the movie, right? The THX.
There you go. Yes. THX. There you go.
You know why I remember that one? There's a specific animated movie where a guy comes out and like plugs something in and it goes wow.
Oh, it's going automatically to my next one.
Is that Twitter?
Nope, that's not Twitter.
That's not
Twitter.
Do that one again.
Yeah, definitely. You ready?
Play it. Yeah, play it again. It's like you're getting a call or a message.
Right. Yeah, but it's for a specific phone company.
I know that one. I used to whistle that. Specific phone company?
Yes.
Like a manufacturer of a phone?
Yeah.
Or like a phone carrier?
No, specific manufacturer of a phone.
Manufacturer.
Yeah.
It's not T-Mobile. It's not. Well, T-Mobile doesn't make. That's a carrier. I know.
Somebody's getting a text message.
That's not the Motorola. It's not iPhone. some kind of... Trying to think of the flip phone.
We have all of their appliances in our kitchen.
LG?
Nope. We don't have LG in our kitchen.
We don't? I thought they were LG.
Nope.
Shame on me. I should look at them.
They also, I mean, they make a lot of electronics.
I was thinking Sony, but no.
They make a lot of electronics. They make TVs, DVD players.
You're literally killing me.
You want me to tell you?
Figuratively, literally killing me. Yeah.
Samsung.
No! Samsung.
Yep.
Foreign.
Yep. It was Samsung. Sorry.
Okay.
All right.
That's a bummer.
You ready for another one?
1 out of 2. Okay.
That's all right. Here we go. Ready?
Yep. Windows.
Yeah. Do you know specifically which Windows?
Windows 95, 94.
Nope. They didn't make a Windows 94.
97?
Didn't make a 97.
Come on.
There was a 95. There was 98. There was ME. There was 2000s. There was Millennium Edition ME. And then after that, finally
Sorry,
in
I'm not a
2003,
computer nerd.
Windows XP.
XP, okay.
Yes,
well,
that was specifically the Windows
whatever
XP.
computers we had in computer lab as a child in school, that is the sound it would make when we turned on the tower and the monitor. We logged in.
All right.
Before we put on Mavis Beacon.
All right. I'll give you a very modern one.
Okay.
Here,
so
let's
that's
see.
2 out of 3.
That's
all right.
2 out of 3.
Okay.
All right. How about this one?
Netflix.
There you go. All right. See, I figured that
Woo!
would...
3 out of 4.
I figured that would be a relatively...
Give me a softball.
I figured that would be a relatively easy one.
Okay.
Here.
Okay.
Okay. All right.
What's the next one?
All right. All right. How about this one here? Let's see if you recognize where this one's from.
Isn't that Skype?
Yeah, there you go.
Okay. These are a lot easier than I thought it was going to be. The Samsung is the only one that's tripped me up. I thought it was going to be like my dad had a Nokia phone that was like a brick. And we played Snake on it.
Okay, so
I think he still has it. You had the Nokia on
I had
there?
the Nokia on there, yeah.
Excellent. Yes, I know that ringtone.
Yeah. I'm trying to remember where I heard that a whole bunch in.
Isn't there a movie?
That's what I'm thinking. Like, I think it's either like it's got to be like a Jurassic Park or a Godzilla, because I specifically remember their phones going off and they're
trying to hide.
Yeah, they're trying to hide it, and it gives them away at some points here. Okay, all right. Let's try this one.
Okay, hold on. That's how many have we guessed? 4 out of 5?
Something like that.
Okay.
All right. How about this one?
It's like a game system, right?
Yeah.
It's PlayStation
Which one?
1.
Yeah.
Thanks,
Look at
Aaron.
you. Look at you.
We played Frogger on your PlayStation in grade school.
Okay,
It's all you.
let's stick with game consoles here for a second.
Okay.
All right. How about this one?
You're giving me a leg up. Rats. I know that one. Oh, I see it.
Oh, I got
That
two.
one's T-Mobile.
That one's T-Mobile.
That one's T-Mobile.
That was not supposed to play yet here. Yeah, in case anybody didn't hear.
The click. The click where you connect. It's a console. It's not a specific game. Mm-hmm. Is that the Switch?
It is the
Okay.
Switch. There you go.
It's the click onto the side, right? Okay.
Well, exactly. That's what it's kind of supposed to be like.
You're really.
Yeah.
That is not my area of expertise, my guy.
Well, goodness, I'm just getting slammed with ads as soon as I want to start playing some of these sound effects here. I'm trying to do this the proper way and not download things from YouTube that aren't supposed to be downloaded here. But you're making me go through ads, YouTube, and I don't like it. Okay.
They're just gonna say, pay for premium, then. Is this still a game console?
Yep.
Is that GameCube?
Nope. No, GameCube has a really kind of a.
Okay, I don't know a lot about that one. Can you play that again?
Sure. The trick one is it's the most iconic part is right at the end. That little sound effect right at the end there. Yeah, exactly. They used to play at the end of all of the commercials for this game console.
Oh, okay.
That's the part that you got to focus on.
I did not care to watch those commercials. Okay, I'm just kind of like visually going through your game shelves.
For those of you who don't know, I have a ridiculous amount of video games.
Yeah, it's a whole thing. There were many trips to IKEA involved. Okay, I said PlayStation already. I said Switch.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna guess Sega.
Nope.
What's the other one?
Green
Xbox?
one. There you go. Which
Yeah.
Xbox?
Dude, I couldn't even get that it was Xbox, and now you want me to figure out which one it was?
I know, and the Xbox is kind of hard.
360?
There you go.
Okay,
That's it.
there
It's
we
the
go.
360.
That's like the only one I know besides the Ring of Death.
The original Xbox.
The original, okay.
Yeah, which is very confusing because there's an Xbox, an Xbox 360, and then after that was the Xbox One.
What?
Yeah.
They're going backwards.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
It's the joke at the beginning was that it was the Xbox 180, and it's, so.
Okay.
All right. You got a couple more in you?
Sure.
All right.
I've already guessed poorly on at least 3.
That's all right.
That's the PC error noise.
Right. That's a Windows error. So,
You done messed up, Aaron.
Alex, what's the plan for tomorrow?
His brain just blanks. Why? Dun, 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 dun.
Yeah.
Not like AOL Intel. No,
So AOL and Intel are two different things.
companies.
Yes.
Everything is computer related. This is not my.
You come up with all the iconic jingles. I don't know what to tell you.
I know. Bum, 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 bum. I should know this one.
Yeah.
It's just like that Samsung one is gonna kill me. I'm gonna be haunted. I can see the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
Now I'm just gonna turn it into a song. It's some kind of tech company.
Yeah. Yeah, and this is like one of the earliest versions. They had this ringtone for a very long time.
Oh, ringtone.
But,
Okay.
well, not ringtone. It's not a ringtone. Sorry, not cell phone. Not that there was a lot of cell phones going on in the mid-90s.
True. Not unless you had a backpack.
That's more like the
That's
80s.
Yeah.
You know. So I wanted to give it to you right away because it is actually Intel. But,
Okay. Because I said the other one.
You kind of like glossy, you gave me multiple answers on the
did.
Scantron sheet. And it
Error.
registered, I was going to play the Windows error again, and then it gave me a commercial. You're killing me, YouTube. You're killing me.
You're killing me.
Yeah.
You're really killing me.
Okay, all right. I've got only 2 more here left for you.
Thank God.
Okay? As soon as I get through this commercial.
That's the message sound?
Yeah, there you go. That's a Facebook Messenger
Yeah.
sound.
That was, oh gosh. I secretly made a Facebook when I was it was either 7th or 8th grade. It was a poor choice. I made poor decisions.
We all did.
Oh gosh. That was when we still had dial-up. And so I had to make my Facebook in the middle of the night so that I wouldn't accidentally interrupt any phone signals coming in. So I had to wait till everyone was sleeping, sneak down to the basement, turn on the computer, turn on the internet.
Scandalous.
and then make a Facebook.
Scandalous.
I know.
Robin, breaking all the rules.
Breaking all the rules. Breaking 2 rules.
All right, you ready for the last one?
Yep.
Okay, all right.
Lay it on me.
Here we go.
Oh, I should know that one. That one's got to be Nintendo. It's like specifically like Mario, right?
There you go.
Okay.
Yeah. What's the noise that's related to? What are you getting when
you're getting a coin?
Yeah,
right?
There you go.
Yes. You're the only reason I know that.
You're welcome.
Because we played Mario together, and I played it, and Alex watched me fail, and it was excruciating for him.
It was.
I could not play. What was it? Super Mario World? And like the first world, I died
so many
times. And he's like, I have to walk away.
It was really hard because
I can't watch this.
Because there's like 2 buttons on the controller. And
I'm just trying to mash all of them at once.
Yeah, I'm just like, hold down the other button so you can sprint. And then you come out, I just watch you like go up to a big hole and just right off the edge. You either like, it was like you could sprint or you could jump, but you could not do both at the same time.
I am better now where I can use one thumb to hit 2 buttons simultaneously. It's a big skill, okay, that I have learned over our
multitasking.
8 years, 9 years of being together.
Yeah.
I have learned, okay? Yeah. I have gained skill.
I remember when I learned it when I was 4.
Yeah, I learned to, what did I learn as a child? I learned how to shuffle a deck of cards and play card games. I did not play video games.
Yeah, that's okay.
To each their own.
Yep, exactly.
All right.
So when Jay turns 5 years old, we'll put a controller in front of him on one side and a deck of cards on the other, and we'll say, choose.
Oh my gosh. At least right now he plays with both.
He does, yeah. He's terrible at duck hunts, though, because the only way you can pull the trigger is to aim the gun at himself.
His thumb that's how it is with all kids, and it's so funny with like, I'm so excited to give him a squirt gun this summer and have him just spray himself in the face. I'm so ready.
It's going to be good.
It's going to be so much fun. I'm so excited.
Yeah, and I'm waiting for the surprise look of like he's going to hit himself in the face, and then he's going to probably immediately drop the gun and like run away from it as if, it tried to bite him or something.
I don't think so. He used to pick up the garden hose with the sprayer on it, and he could only spray it with like, he had to like hold it that way.
Yeah.
So I mean, he sprayed himself in the face with the garden hose. So
yeah, but he's had a year to kind of cope with that decision.
I mean, but he hasn't touched it since. Didn't we get rid of that?
Yes, that particular one.
All right. Yeah. All right.
So, all right. Anyways, now we're getting off topic.
We digress.
Oh my goodness. All right. Well, anyways, this was fun. This is something a little bit different for us. We got some cool stuff coming up in future episodes, so stick around. We'll see you guys next time. My name is Alex Bennett.
And I'm Robin Bennett.
And we'll see you in the next episode.
Bye.